So first of all, Coach Ivan, thank you so much for doing this. How are you now after such a busy period of time? You had so many games back to back. A little bit of a gap now. So how's everything?
Well, everything is all right. Seeing that the competition of ISL is of a short term, and as a team, as a club's management and the coaching staff, you have to manage many things, not only speaking about football games, but many things around and that help us having this kind of organization. So everything's all right so far. Everything's all right so far. We are trying to adapt to current situation, to all the things that have been asked from us. So I'd say so far so good. So we are in one process. We would like to continue the same way and like hoping for the best outcome and for a nice and good results in next fixtures.
So when we look at the season from the outside that Kerala has had, you started a little slow, then suddenly it all clicked in that game. Maybe even the game before Mumbai, but Mumbai was a statement win. Then you had the Chennai run. So suddenly the team was pressing well. Everything was sort of coming together. So was there anything that sort of clicked for you? Is that finally when it all came together, or is that the process that it happened?
You know what? I must be honest
Hmm.
with you. I believed from the very beginning, and I think even our first game and the loss against ATK in the first game, I think that we played a good game. Apart from some, let's say, official mistakes, the first goal in the first minute after the offside phase, then all the other things that were like in a chain during that game. I think that since the very beginning, we were trying to explore and play on a different ways, because as a team, I mentioned that a couple of times that taking into consideration last year's achievements, the results, with all due respect for everybody, we decided to approach to a certain games with different styles. So it means when you are as a team coming from far behind with lack of positive results and I don't know how many months of football without victory. So from the very beginning, we decided to try many different things with the boys and with the team. So it means playing football with possession, playing football without possession, defending in a lower block, being good organized, being good focused and concentrated, pressing high, all these things. Because as a team, if you just stick to one style, very quickly you can become predictable. Then as a team, if you explore and try different approaches like we were doing in the previous period, then as a team you evolve and you improve faster. And it means that when as a team you improve, it means that the players also on individual basis they will improve, and then the boys they recognize themselves in different positions in different moments, and like that they become better, they get more confidence, and that's how it goes in football. And this season we are using many of those things, because we as a new coaching staff in this ISL, we would like to recognize also the league. We would like to recognize all the possible qualities of our squad, of our players, knowing what and who can explore these different things in the future as well. So as a coaching staff, you have to do that. You have to go through that process. And I think also that before the game against Mumbai FC, which was our first marvelous win, I think that we had the grip on all the games. If we speak about draw against, it was before that, it was the victory against Odisha. I cannot recall anymore some draws like against East Bengal when you get two cancelled goals, or some moments where you were not in a favor of official decisions. So I think that even now we miss at least 4 points, which would put us even higher up the table. But anyway, we are not complaining about it, because we know that in this short-term competition, you don't have, you have to deal not only with yourself, with your tactics, with your approach, with your strategic moments. You have to deal with many other things which can cause negative energy, which can cause the let's say lack of concentration during the game, because you don't have VRA technology, you don't have goal technology, you don't have many of those things which could make this league easier. And then if we again speak on a short-term competition, which is like a little bit than 3 months, it is not favorable for players neither, because for them it's very difficult to get in a perfect and a right, correct shape only in those 3 months, because speaking about football worldwide, all around the world, the football season is of a term at least 8 till 10 and a half months, where you are constantly in a shape, you are constantly in a training, you're constantly playing, where you can afford also one period that you miss due to some injuries. And then you can build up further on on a long term. After 1 or 2 seasons, you can build up very strong foundation, very strong team that can participate every year high up the table. Further on, also in Asian Cup and all other competitions, and then like that you improve your clubs level, you improve your domestic league level, like in this case ISL. And at the end of the day, the organization that profits the most from all that would be national team, which means that all the players will be on top level during the long term. And the moment they get called up for a national team, they'll be ready. In this case, when you have a short-term competition of 3.5 months, then you have a large break of 6 months. And then when in these FIFA moments where you have to call up your players for international duties, you have many of them not in a shape. And that's why sometimes you don't get these positive results on the level of national team. And that is the biggest problem of those results on that level. So I think that with all those things we have to deal as a coaching staff, it's new for us. But yet again, this is our first season and we have to deal with that. We have to adapt those things, try to get maximum out of it. So, and we are so far trying to find that positive way, to try to compose that positive energy that can allow us to get those results. And I'd say so far so good. We have to continue. It's only very soon will be half of the competition. We still have to play 10 games. Everything's possible. We've seen so far that anybody can beat anybody in this league. There are no guarantees. There are no favorites. Yet I think that there are some teams that, in my opinion, they will be for sure in top 4. But you know, we've seen so far that even where nobody expected from us to get some points and to beat some teams, that yet we did it. So everything's possible. Everything's possible here, and we want to continue building up on that way, because now there are 2 more months and many games to play. So we hope to organize and be ready for all those games. So we'll see.
So obviously, in your career, you've played in top leagues, you've coached in top leagues. Slavko from Chennai the other day was saying how in ISL a lot of the attack happens in transition, and how as a defender he has to figure that way out because he's not used to playing in so much transition. So how much of an adjustment is that for you also as a coach, because so much of the game happens in this attacking transition or the bad defensive phase? How are you looking at it?
But you know, football is also the part of let's say worldwide happening. So many things in our world, they are going through the evolution period, you know. And let's say every day you'll have a new car, every day there is a new phone, every day is like the things evolve. We are evolving, and then the football as a thing as well evolves every year. And then every year on top level you see new things, you see new moments that the coaches and the football itself implements. And then you see many of those transition moments that many clubs and many teams are trying to solve the games and win the games. More and more teams are trying to play organized football, and then for all those things, playing in transition, for all those things, trying to break down your opponent, trying to play quick football, which is already the case in especially in European level for years. These are the things that you have to adapt on. And as a player, as a coaching staff, you have to recognize, and the big question mark is if you can do that with your current squad, if you possess, or if there are players profiles who are capable of doing that. So then as a coaching staff, you have to practice on that. You have to be capable of didactical explanation, transferring all those informations to the players, to the squad, that they understand. And at the moment when you realize that, try to win the games like that. And when you win the games like that, it gives you more confidence. So you have to deal. And in many games in this league so far, because we see the amount of goals, it's incredible. Like more than 160 goals, I think, so far, or if I'm not wrong. So there are many things that have to be corrected, and then as a coach, you have to find a correct formula for your team to work on it, to be positive and to collect points. So for us as a new coaching staff, again, that's the moment of recognizing if it's possible. And also as a coaching staff, like I just mentioned, we want to explore and try different approaches in different games, because it will give us perfect picture, which in a long-term project is necessary in order to build up great project, which will allow you in the next couple of years to be the team who can always compete in top of the table. So these are the things that many clubs, many big clubs on a top level, they are going before they compose and organize the club on a high level. They have to go through that process, and they'll be doing that. And so today we see many of these teams, many of these clubs on that level, because they were in the past, in that moment, organizing, precising the strategy, what kind of club they would like to have, what kind of organization, and then step by step and piece by piece completing that puzzle and saying, we need that players profiles, we want that because we want to play on that way, regarding and depending on your league level, demands level, speaking now again about ISL and a short term, and what would you like to achieve. So that's why I jumped into this project with the management, with the owners and everything, because I like the project, I like the idea. And like I said, so far so good. We are on the right path, and we just have to continue, build up further on, also with our experienced players, giving space and the chance to younger players to develop, because themselves as well, tomorrow in the future, they have to become important part of not only our club but of Indian football. So this is the important, like the chain effect in the football. That's it. So younger players coming in, experienced players, helping them to become better. Then later, when they become experienced, there are new youngers are coming. So this is the process, like non-ending process. And we as a coaching staff, we are just here to try to complete all those things. So I'm very happy for the moment.
So for the past few years, we've seen Kerala Blasters in different iterations, and I can honestly say this is one of the favorite versions of Kerala Blasters that I like, because I think you signed really good players. Kabra being a leader, I've known him well from his time in Bangalore that he played over here. He's a good person to have in the dressing room. You managed to get a lot out of Sahal, who a lot of people were expecting a lot out of, but he never really delivered in goals. But it seems like you are, for some reason, he's reaching at the right time, at the right spot in the box. And Puitia is doing an excellent job as well. Luna is my favorite foreigner in India at the moment. So how is this, like, just talk about Sahal to take one, for example. Are you working specifically so that he arrives at the right time at the box and adding that to his game? Because we already know he's incredibly, technique-wise, very talented.
Well, speaking about him, he's a still young player, and we have to admit that, when you start your professional career as a young player, of course, there are many expectations, and if you get some prizes, if people start talking about you, you have to deal with many things, not only about the football pitch, but you have to deal with many things around it. And with all those expectations, if you know, when you find the diamond, if that diamond is not later worked on, the diamond will not become a pure gem. So it means that many things that you have to work on during the whole your career. It's not only about in the first part. And I think that not only with him, but with many players, you know, that there are many things. Speaking about arriving in a let's say in the box for to finish all those actions, you know, football is a game where you have to be on the right spot in the right time. So you don't have to be too late. You must not be too late, and you don't have to be too early. So of course, these are the things that you work on a training session, like good timings, when and what and how to recognize, and all these things. Of course, not only with mentioned Sahal, but with many players, we work on those things. And then I must also tell you from my personal experience as a former football player, every player during his playing professional career, every player has one moment during his career. It can be in early stage, it can be later on, where you get kind of connection with maybe some players, your teammates, maybe coaching staff, and then you realize certain things and you have that click in your head, and then somehow it just works, and then the things that you are doing, it gives results, and then you become better, you improve, you get more confident, you get older, and that's what we call experience. So we could never expect, not only now from him, but we could never expect to see some younger players doing some things that the older experienced players are doing, because it cannot happen, because they don't have that part of experience. From my personal experience, again, I was playing the best football of my life between 28 and 32, because somehow in that moment you realize many things. You realize everything about football game tactics, personal relationships with the coaching staff, with the teammates, fitness level, physical level, all the possible things that just like fits together. Some of players, they got it also on early stage. Now, of course, when you work with different coaches, when you work on different styles, when you get many different spices added into your recipe, it fits. And then, you know, with the foreign signings, with the foreign players who are very helpful, who are great professionals, who understands very well now the mentality and the way also the domestic players are thinking about football, playing football, they help them as well to release one part of pressure of their shoulders, helping them and trying to put them in a good position in front of the goal where they can finish those actions. So that's not only the case with Sahal, but with many other players, like you mentioned, Puitea, or some other guys, especially domestic players, that are very important, not only for our team. I have to say also one thing. I think that this season already, and from next season, the teams who understand that they must have the best possible group of domestic Indian players will give them possibility to be on top of the table. It will not be the group of foreign players. It will be the best possible group of Indian players, in this case, in India, domestic players. If you can manage and organize correct players profiles that you need for your style of play, whatever, it will give you a possibility to be in top four, to end up in semifinals or playoffs, whatever, however you say that. And I think that that has to be goal of our club as well, our team as well, that in the next period, we also, depending on our strategy, organize, say, we need those profiles, we need those players. With many of our players now, we are very, very happy. With some of them, they still have to work very hard to go and improve a lot. And as a coaching staff, we are happy, because that's the beauty of the coaching job, improving these things. And I think that all the clubs who understand and organize like that, they will be top of the table. So that's why the domestic players, like you mentioned, speaking Sahal, Jigson, Puitea, Cabra, Jessel, even younger coming up. So not to forget, like to mention, all of them, they have to work hard, because they have to become better, because they will be the main detail and the key point of the team and of the future. Because, okay, that's my opinion. We can discuss about football, but that's my opinion about ISL League and about the teams, because the majority of players on your on the pitch will be domestic players, because only 4 can play foreigners. And I think that the teams who organize with the best group and best possible quality of domestic players would be at the end, because we see how the results are going and what's going on in ISL.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree with you. Now you're talking about future and long-term plans developing the club. Is there any update or anything about the contract for you? Is there an extension on the way? Because I think the fans are really happy with what's happening with Blasters right now.
I have also to say I'm very happy with everything. I'm very happy in the club, and I would like to stay. I really would like to stay, because working in consistency, working with such a great management, our sporting director Karolis, and the owners and all the guys from the board. I think that even from our very first contact and meeting online, it just clicked. Back then, I had some other offers from some other countries, even for much more financial and better financial aspect. But in my career and even now, it's not the main driving point. I don't care about that. I want to work with good people and good projects. And I think that it just clicked back then. I said I want to be the part of this project. We are still under contract. We have also one option about extension. And of course, because we are all, every day we are here together, we talk about those things, and hopefully everything will be settled. And I'd really like to stay. I'd really like to stay, and I think that there will be no problem for us to make that agreement. So, yeah. Because both sides so far we are happy. I'm really happy with the team. I'm really happy with the club. The only thing I'm sorry about, because is that now in those moments with all these maybe good games or good results, we are not able to perform and play in Kochi in our full stadium. That would be like the cream on top of like, because the fans, they deserve it. They deserve it, and one big thanks to all of them, because we feel that support, we feel that energy, and it's really helpful. These boys, they are really grateful for that, and I feel that also in them, because that's like our 12th man. I think that when you have that momentum and that type of game, if you play in front of your stadium, you are just unbeatable. You're just become like a beast that can smash anybody.
I think you will really enjoy it if we go back to the stadium, the atmosphere, and it's so different from how Kochi crowd reacts to a Bangalore crowd, to a Kolkata crowd, to a Goa crowd. It's all little different. And in Kochi specifically, I can tell you this, that even if you're an opponent team and they do well, they really perform well, score really good goals, they will appreciate that, which you may not see in all the other parts. So I've often heard this from players from other clubs who have gone and played there, saying that we were really surprised sometimes because of the goal that he scored, and they appreciate it. So good football, I think.
You know what? Also, as a again, if I go back like 20 years ago, and like as a former player, I had this chance to play in the big stadiums around Europe, around the world, in front of very huge and big crowds. And it is true when everybody says, the football we play for the fans, and the football we play for for all the people coming to the stadium, because it's all about them. Football game is for fans. And again, we are really sorry that now we are playing in these circumstances, but that's the situation worldwide, and we have to accept that. And I think that it will be very, very nice if all these come to an end very soon, that we can perform in Kochi, because the energy of a stadium, the energy of fans, is the most helpful thing that can happen to one team, especially when you are playing good, and especially when you're playing less good. That can be the drive of your coming back, and that's why football is beautiful. So hopefully that we'll have that chance very soon.
Yeah, I hope so too. And this is a nice segue into something that I wanted to ask you, because you obviously was there in Red Star Belgrade, one of the biggest teams if not the biggest team in Serbia. And I just wanted to ask you about the eternal derby that whole system with Red Star and Partizan Belgrade. And from outside, I've read about it. It's the history with the working class and the elite class and all the thing that dates back. What does that derby, for the people in India who don't know, what does that derby entail? How is it as a player, coach, or whoever to be part of that match?
Look, it's sometimes it's impossible to describe if you are not like even as a supporter or somebody who is going there to watch it. You have to feel it. First of all, it's a kind of divided population between two camps, because the first thing, if let's say as a father, you have a boy, you have a child, so in many cases, 99.9% of cases in Serbia, the first thing what will happen, that the father, if it's a son or whatever it happens, very soon you will get the jersey, Red Star or Partizan. So from an early age, you are already on one side, and it's all about like, or you are Red Star or you're Partizan. These clubs, they were founded in 1945 with one idea from post Second World War, let's say political organization, ideology back then, okay, and then the population like divided in two camps. Even the stadiums in Belgrade are very close to each other, like 200 meters. And when there is a big derby, like all the sector around those stadiums is closed down, like more than 5,000-6,000 policemen at least, keeping the order, like, and with the hooligans, with the fans, they create that atmosphere. I will give you an example. My father, who died last year, and my brother, okay, they are both, my father, he was, and my brother, he is still huge fan of Partizan Belgrade. And the first thing when it happened to me when I was in a youth age, I got offered to sign. I got scouted from both of clubs, and then there were some talks that I could join in a youth Partizan, but as a Red Star fan from an early age, because for me Red Star was something special. In 1991, Red Star won Champions League, were European champion, and for me, I had all these photos in my room, and I was crazy about Red Star. And I didn't want to go. I didn't want to go to Partizan. I said, no, I cannot go because I'm a big fan of Red Star. And then when I had this chance to join and play for Red Star, imagine the fact, the game is at the weekend. So already a couple of days before the game, 3-4 days before the game, there is no contact. My father and my brother, they were avoiding contact, no contact whatsoever, because there is a derby. For us, it's like, so, and then if it happens, and it happened very often, that we were winning those derbies, like a couple of days after the derby game, they were not responding the phone, because that kind of energy or a rivalry between those two camps, it's huge. Then in the whole city, in the whole country, you have all the people like divided in two camps. And when you see that, or you are Red Star or you're Partizan, because they're the two biggest clubs of the country, and the population got polarized in these two camps, that today it's in every possible sport, even if you speak about basketball, any other sport, it's huge. It's huge. And when you become part of that one, and then the energy about all the derbies, couple of days before the game, during the game, after the game, it's huge. And I've been lucky to participate in many of those derbies, first as a supporter, later as a player. And of course, it gives you something extra in your career. It gives you this spicy thing that you can become better, more tough, because in that derby, there are so many tough duels. There are so many things that when you perform, I remember in front of our stadium, which was back then with 80,000 capacity, it's huge. That's what you're living for. As a young boy, when you start shooting the ball for the first time, and when you start practicing and training, you dream about those games. You dream about possibility playing those games. And so it's a huge thing. It's a huge thing in Serbia, and all the players who have had that possibility to play that derby, it gave them something extra that later they could build up further on even better careers, going abroad, playing in top competitions, and later on you have that basics to become part of national team. So even today, whenever there is a derby, I follow it. I like to see images of that, and whenever I am in Serbia, and if there is a derby, of course, I'm always part of that. I go to watch. In many cases, I'm giving commentaries in the studio, on the TV, and I like that because that's, you know, you see all the energy, all the things that are connected. You see many of those derbies around the world. You have them in Brazil, Argentina, Italy, England. You have them all around the world. But in that part of the world, it's like the question, how to describe the matter of everything. When there is like, that's it, Red Star, Partizan, that's a huge fight. That's a huge fight. Even sometimes there are like fights with between the fans outside the stadium, and sometimes it becomes really dangerous. But as a football player on the pitch, you just become like a gladiator. It's even many of us players, former players of Red Star, Partizan, we are very good friends. Even today, after so many years, we are many good friends, all of us. But when there is that moment on the pitch, there is no friendship. There is respect, but there is a fight, gladiators. So, and that kind of playing football, that kind of something extra, it gives you something for your next life, or next period, or your future life in the football. So I'm very grateful that I had that possibility to play that.
So we're sort of running out of time. So I'm going to ask two questions quickly. One is that what is one of the most funniest things that has happened to you on the football field as a manager or a player? And the other one is if you can just say a little bit about the history of Balkan football from Yugoslavia and now, you know, all these other nations, and you've lived through that phase. So if you can just say these two things.
The most funniest thing from a football pitch, from the games was, now there's a difficult one. The most funniest thing, I don't know, I cannot not recall now some of, but there are many things. There are many things that can happen. Some own goals that you were witnessing, or let's think quickly about that funny thing that happened to me. By playing in Red Star, I remember playing this qualification round for Champions League. In the last round, we were playing against one team from Germany, Leverkusen, who had played that season in a Champions League final against Real Madrid. And they really were like, they were tough team, top team. And I remember 5 minutes before the end, during the game, I had a dispute with one guy who actually played later on, I think here in India, a Brazilian Lucio. There was a dispute during the game, and I think that 5 minutes before the end, he just hit me with the elbow. And I remember being kind of knocked down. I remember referee coming onto the pitch telling me to open my eyes. I was telling like, yeah, open my eyes. He said, no, you didn't open your eyes. So I couldn't find myself on the pitch where I was, like, and everything was like flashing in front of my eyes. Like when you see all the stars when they say things. Yeah. And I remember like wanting to go back to the pitch. I didn't even I didn't know what side I have to go, because I was completely like almost knocked out, and getting back on the pitch and just like wanting to revenge or getting like a card. But it was like a funny thing that in a moment of 5 minutes, you don't know where you are, what's happening, that somebody has to tell you like where are you. And later on they also, after the game, me vomiting and everything, they decided to put me on the exam, and I was not approved to train for next 2-3 weeks, because I was with the kind, how you called it,
concussion.
Yeah. And you know, for a couple of days I was like nowhere, like some of those things were. But anyway, when I was later watching those videos, for me, you know, it was a funny, but it was not funny from the other side neither. But there are many of those things, you know, from the football pitch, or as a coach, you know, as a coach from a side, because the things, you know, in the football as a coach, they don't matter a lot when the game starts, because the players, they have to do it on the pitch. And then as a coach, you got frustrated more, and then maybe funny moments are when you got frustrated because you want things to happen on the way you think they can happen. They have to happen, and then you just got frustrated, and many funny things can occur. But I cannot recall now that quickly. And that other last question was, please, one.
Just about
what was the last one?
Balkan football.
Okay.
We just have 3 minutes left, so yeah.
Okay, listen quickly. Balkan football, it's you have to see the fact of former Yugoslavia, which today doesn't exist anymore. That was a huge country. That speaking today, you take countries like Slovenia, Croatia, Bosnia, Montenegro, Serbia, Macedonia, Kosovo. All these countries before, they were all together in one big country named Yugoslavia. The football league was quite strong. Many of top players were playing there, and the fact that the players didn't have authorization to leave the country before 28 years of age, they had to stay in the country, and the league was stopped. And then the football foundation and the formation of football players was huge. And the production of a young player and the players who were playing there was excellent. And that's why the national team of Yugoslavia got a great result in the World Cup 1990. And then later on, when the civil war erupted and the country was destroyed, there was no everything went apart. And today we see many of those players formed in many different parts of Balkan, of these countries, going to top leagues. You know, there is always talent. And with a great youth formation, you can form great players. So that's why there will always be talent, because the boys, they love football. They like playing football in Balkan, and that's why they are very popular in many countries worldwide. So
Yes.
That's how it is. Like you guys like cricket in India, we love football and basketball and tennis, maybe because of Djokovic.
Yes. So thanks so much for the time that you've given. It was a wonderful experience for me as well. I'm sure for the listeners as well. And all the best to you for the season.
You're welcome, Sandeep. You're welcome.
I hope
was
I
my
didn't bore
pleasure.
you with
You're
the
welcome.
questions. I was trying to make sure that it's not the usual ones as much as possible.
Excellent. Excellent.
Okay, so all the best to you. Great season. Hope you have a great season and a long tenure in India and play in front of the Kochi crowd.
Thank you. Thank you, Sandeep. Thank you. Thank you for calling me. All the best. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, coach. Thank you so much.